So could it be that if you're going country by country, product by product, that your R&D strategy would be very local too?
Yeah, I'm sure it will be in the end.
Okay.
Because I mean, not completely, because there are basic technologies which will remain the same,
Same.
and in fact, which we will have to leverage, because they're already established, perhaps in the U.S. or in developed countries, and we don't need to reinvent that stuff. But there will be some level of localization, I'm certain.
So that's the other thing I wanted to go on in terms of your international operations. Previously, whenever people thought about creating a base in Asia, China, India, wherever, it's always manufacturing. Now that you're looking at R&D,
I think engineering is just as important.
so do you see your hiring changing over there? A lot of
More
less
engineers, yes.
Okay.
Absolutely, but again, we need to. I mean, I'm not going to start tomorrow and hiring engineers randomly. There's to be a very specific program,
Right.
very specific opportunity, and then based on that opportunity, we'll create centers as needed, but not duplicative to the ones we have here, but complementary to the ones we have here.
Okay.
I mean, there's another factor. It just the cost today of engineering talent in many of those countries is much lower for almost as good sort of output, and it varies. But the level of skill that's available in India, in China, in Korea, in places like that are actually quite good, and we need to leverage that, and that could well be a way of us growing quite quickly in a much more efficient fashion.
Okay.
Even in terms of basic R&D, there's a lot of expertise in different countries in the world in niche areas, which are very high, and we can structure a lot of basic science work in some of these countries, and we're exploring that as well.
Okay. I'm a little curious about how you tackle some businesses that are not performing as well as people expected it to. I mean, I guess one of the things before the earnings call, people expected you were going to announce a major restructuring, major changes. Nothing, with the exception of physio control, was talked about. What is your plan for like businesses like iPhone that you paid a ton of money for but are clearly not performing? I mean, can you sustain them in the long run?
Well, there's a plan for Kaifon. We think that there's some new products coming out, and we've got a business. We think the revenue level in that business is stabilized. We've got a plan to drive it to that level. We structured the business to support that kind of revenue level, and that's our plan right now. Now, if that doesn't work, we'll have to take another look. But that's our plan right now.
When you say stabilized, I mean even last year the revenues have been falling. Have you seen a trend differently? Is it flatlining?
I think obviously last quarter it still fell.
Yeah.
So I mean that's what the facts are. Now we've got certain new products in the works and a certain expectation as to what those will do, and we think that'll help stabilize the business. And again, we'll have to see.
And how long are you willing to give it?
No, I mean,
some leeway?
I mean, look, in the end, I need to see a plan.
Right.
And like we've taken prior action, we've taken restructuring actions before. If we see that we're surprised by the performance based on what we thought, and we have to take restructuring action, we will take it.
Okay.
I have no bones about it, but I'm not going to do that in a random fashion without the appropriate data and without playing out a certain strategy. So if there's a certain strategy in place, we got to play that one out. And if there are errors in that thinking, or because circumstances have changed, because of which that strategy is no longer valid and restructuring is warranted for, we will take restructuring actions.
Okay. Would it be fair to say that under your reign here, we will not be seeing billion-dollar acquisitions like iPhone, or real major acquisitions that require a lot of integration?
No, I'm not going to rule anything out. All I will say, what I stated earlier, is that I've got a number of basic principles regarding acquisitions, whether they're big or whether they're small, and I intend to follow those. And the two are, first, I need to have very clear value propositions, which are financial in nature and very granular in their content, as to why we do a certain acquisition.
Okay.
Those have to be clear up front, and we have to set plans in place and fund programs in place so that we can deliver on those value propositions. In other words, why are we buying something and what do we expect from it?
Right.
What sorts of synergies do we expect from it? I need to be very clear about what those things are, and then go forward based on our assessment of our ability to actually do those, how practical and how realizable and how credible those strategies are.
Okay.
And based on that, we make a judgment call and we go ahead and do the acquisition based on it. The other is, since this is a plan laid out by a business team, the business team which runs this thing will have to have proven to me a certain track record that they can, that the plans that they call for have a certain level of credibility associated with it. So a business team with a strong track record and a business plan which has a clear line of sight to added value are the two things that are essential. That could be big or small.
So you'll be more strict about what kind of acquisitions?
I'd be more disciplined, let's say,
okay.
about some of these.
Okay.
But I'm not saying that they weren't disciplined before. I just want to make sure we're consistent about it.
Okay.
And having learned from some of maybe prior mistakes. Yeah.
How important is the artificial pancreas to the future of Medtronic diabetes? The fact that Medtronic diabetes is a growing business.
I think independent of Medtronic diabetes, I think that's very important to the future of the treatment of diabetes. I think if one can really come up with an artificial pancreas, that's a revolution in healthcare, which people should be striving for. So to that degree, independent of its financial importance, I think the human need for that is tremendous. And if anyone has any ideas how to do that which are halfway credible, and we have plans to do it, it's absolutely our responsibility to try to achieve that.
Okay.
So it's extremely important, only because of the potential value that can create and that can provide to people around the world. So there's no question in my mind that if there's anything that's halfway credible as a solution to that, it's absolutely our responsibility to fund something like that.